Testing, check 1, 2. Ugh. Sorry how to say that. I'm gonna be sitting like this. Podcast. Okay. Hello. Hey. Welcome back to another freaking episode of I Don't Have a Podcast, but if I did. Actually, let me get my water bottle. This is sponsored by Stanley. No, it's not. Shout out to one of my buddies who got me that, though. Hello again. I didn't think I'd be doing another one of these so soon, but here we are. I didn't do my vocal exercises, and I have gum in my mouth. Let me deal with both of those things right now. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Today, my drink, we have a water here because I have a stomach virus, I think. I was literally bedridden the other day from 3 p.m. all the way till 10 p.m. And then I showered and went to sleep. And then I woke up in the middle of the night 3 different times because my stomach was killing me. And I had to go make a poo in the loo. For lack of a better word. I don't think that's the phrase. Should we just get right into this? This episode is being filmed because I just got tickets for Audrey Hobert. Yes, I did. I'm happy for me too. Thank you for cheering me because I know you guys are cheering for me because you guys love me more than anybody else. But yeah, I'm going to see Audrey Hobert live and in stereo in June. And funny enough, this is the first concert that I'm seeing since one that I've spoken about on this podcast before. Literally the only other episode that I have. I've talked about this exact concert, which I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Okay, so for those who don't, I'm wearing shorts, okay? I'm not naked. For those who don't know, watch the other episode. No, I'm just kidding. The other concert that I went to was in July, just a few days before I had gotten broken up with. Trigger warning, breakup. I'm going to talk about the fucking breakup. Sue me, I wanna be wanted. Yeah, but there's a point to this, okay? Jesus Christ. Please have a star. Guys, please don't hit me. I know I said I wasn't gonna talk about it again, but it makes sense, okay? Jeez, I just want to give people advice. I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm just gonna mention why this is so poetic. Dumb and poetic. Anyways, the last concert I went to was a few days before I got broken up with. And this was in the last week of that relationship where I decided that I wasn't going to keep putting up with somebody's nonsense. I keep saying Sabrina Carpenter song titles. Maybe it's just a Sabrina Carpenter today. So, hi, my name's Juno. So that concert was basically where I was done putting up with this person's stuff, you know, ignoring me, treating me like I'm not worth their time or energy, you know? So in this concert, I was literally crying because of something that they had told me. And I had said to myself, you know what? For the rest of the night, they don't exist. This is just a little short of, you know, how I was feeling. You can see the whole explanation in the other video, but I don't really want to think about that again. And basically, yeah, I was done with their BS, and it was time where tonight was about me. And I had so much fun, not worrying about somebody else, not letting somebody else get me anxious, not letting somebody else just have me in a not bad mood, but a sad mood. And I just decided to have myself a good time, and I did. What's funny is that Audrey Hobert's music really got me over this person. And I'm gonna go see Audrey Hobert in the city that this person lives in. It's kind of poetic if you think about it. Now, when I say over this person, I don't mean like I'm over this person, I'm dating, you know? I'm still not dating. I don't know what happened, but I think that took everything out of me. I've always wanted a relationship, but now I just don't. You know? And it's like, I'm not saying like, I know somebody's out there like, oh my God, he's gonna turn into a slut. No, I don't want to date anybody. I don't want to be with anybody. I don't want hookups because I know that's where your freaking minds are going. Hookup culture disgusts me. Sorry, somebody had to say it and it's gonna be me. I don't know, it just freaks me out. There's too many whores in this world. It honestly, genuinely scares me. But that's what it is. Anyways, oh my God, I don't have a thumbnail. Yeah, but I'm going to go see Audrey Hobert in their city. And I think it's kind of poetic because the last concert I went to was when I decided that I wasn't going to deal with that person's negativity anymore. And this next concert is after they ended things with me, after I got over that person, and after, you know, I started healing. And I'm in a pretty good place now. It's not well, something happened the other day, but I'll get into that later. But for the most part, I'm over all that, you know? But that whole experience, you know how I'm saying Audrey Hobert helped me get over that? She helped me with my insecurities because I talked about this in the last video, but I've always had this fear that, you know, I would meet somebody, they'd get to know me, and they really liked me. And after a little bit of getting to know me, they would think I'm too much and they would always leave me. And this person that I dated, I warned them from the beginning, you know? I was like, look, I'm like this, I'm like this, I'm like this, I'm like this. Like, that's too much for some people, and they figure out later on, and it ends up being too much for them, and they leave me. So I'm just telling you right now that this is the kind of person that I am. I'm pretty self-aware for the most part, but there's some things that slip through the cracks that I don't notice. And so I tell people like, oh yeah, if you see, like, you can let me know anything, you know? And then I can actually work on it, you know? And this person was the same thing. It kind of ended for one of those reasons, which is why I was so upset at the end, because it was like, I warned you about all this. And, you know, it kind of ended up being that I was too much again. So even though I was scared of that, and I told them like, hey, this is just my biggest fear, like, maybe please don't do that. I literally said multiple times, please don't ever pull the rug out from under me. And I'm not saying this to be like, oh, they're a bad person, you know, like I was too much and they lied to me. I don't think they lied to me, just like, I kind of felt like, wow, it happened again. You know, and it kind of just really hammered it in that I'm always too much for people. And for a whole month, I kept thinking that, like, I really am too much for everybody. And one of my friends mentioned, like, the idea of it being due to insecurities, maybe. And that's exactly what it was. And Audrey Hobert's music kind of taught me, like, you can be cool. You know, not everybody's gonna get it. Even her music, not everybody gets it. And that's fine. The right people are going to get it and the right people are going to love it. I think only one of my friends actually likes Audrey Hobert's music, and everybody else is like, it's kind of weird. Or it's like, it's too loud and crazy, or it's too this, it's too that. And it kind of, you know, it started setting in. I really like this music, you know? I really like Audrey Hobert. I've seen her interviews. I really like this girl. And, you know, my friends don't see it that way. Audrey Hobert talks a lot like, I'm cool AF. And then I started thinking, like, I'm pretty cool too, you know? Like, I saw this quote that said, like, how many people would you impress if everyone was blind? I would impress probably everyone on earth, you know? I'm really funny. I'm really nice to people. I love to make people smile. I love to make people laugh. I don't like to do anything that'll cause any negative emotions to anybody. On top of that, I can edit videos. I can draw. I can paint. I painted this painting on my... You probably can't see it. You can't see it from here, but I painted this painting on my wall. I can draw. I can paint. I can kind of play guitar. I can write. I'm really smart. You know, I was always so insecure that I was too much for everybody. But now it's like, now I see it as I'm too much for the wrong people, you know? And I realized I still have that fear of being too much and people leaving me. But now it's less of, oh my God, they're gonna leave me. I need to know. Not anymore. Now it's more like, I'm scared that they're gonna leave, but if they do, then, you know, the trash takes itself, not the trash takes itself out, but, you know, like, that's one less thing I have to worry about, because I realized I will always be too much for the wrong people. I'm a handful. I talk a lot. I make a lot of jokes. This last person said that I made jokes even in serious conversations, which I didn't even notice that I was doing. So that was my bad. But that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes things slip through the cracks and I don't notice it. And, you know, I would hope people would bring it to my attention, because then I could work on it. I have been working on that even after the breakup. Not for them, but for me, you know, or for whoever comes next, when they come next, because I don't want anything. I don't want anyone. I don't. I mean, I like being single, yeah, but, you know, sometimes I do want somebody. Not like a specific person, but like sometimes it gets lonely, and it would be nice to be in a relationship, but I don't actively want one. You know, I'm not looking for one. I'm not looking for anything with anyone. I've kind of just been by myself. Like, even when it comes to my friends, I don't have that much energy And it's like, I haven't been sad. Like, I've been happy on my own, but it's like, sometimes I get a little lonely and I do want a relationship, but that's usually just at nighttime when I'm going to bed and I'm like, whoa, another day down. I go to bed by myself and hug my pillow to sleep, you know? But I've always been like that. Anyways, sorry, I need to cross these off as I go or I will forget. And like at the end of the relationship, like I realized I was having problems with anxious attachment. I was actively working on it because I personally believe the right person will grow with you. Right now I'm growing by myself and I want to be single until I feel like I've grown to a point where I feel like I'm secure. But if I were in a relationship and I realized that, like this last one where I realized it during, I wanted to grow with this person because this person had their own issues, you know? And I realized near the end, like, why am I being so clingy? Like, I've never been this way. But this person, I don't want to say anything about them. How can I word this? After the relationship, I realized this. The further they pushed me away, the more I tried clinging to them, which is not a good thing. I need water. I need to hydrate. Hydrated. What was I talking about? I don't remember. That was so long ago. It's nice to hear your voice again. Oh, I realized in hindsight that I would cling harder and harder so that they just wouldn't leave. At first, it was like we were texting all day long, obviously, in the honeymoon stage. And then there was one week where they were completely gone. And they were going through something, so I understood. I tried so hard to be understanding. And afterwards, they were like, yeah, sorry, I was going through this. And I told them, like, that's okay, but, like, can you tell me next time so I'm not over here overthinking, why aren't they talking to me? Why aren't they talking to me? Why are they, you know? This was, like, a month into it, so that's not a fun thing to realize that they get cold and you start to hold on really tight. So by the end, they were so distant with me that I was constantly checking in, like, oh, how are you? Or like, oh, what are you up to? You know? And I was never like that. I've never been a super clingy person until they started becoming cold. And I realized that the more they became distant, the more I started to be clingy. And that's not a good thing. It's not healthy for either one of us. I probably made them feel suffocated. Meanwhile, they were going through something, but all I wanted was just a little, hey, I'm going through this. I might be a little bit quiet. It always ended up being me saying, hey, like, can we talk tonight? We didn't talk much today. They would always say that they were sleepy, and there's a lot of things that I didn't remember. And one night I'll have a dream and things will come back up. Like the other night I had a dream. In this dream we were still together and somebody was flirting with this person right in front of me and they started flirting back. Which that didn't happen. But on the last day we hung out, we went to this music thing and this guy was flirting with them right in front of me. And they didn't say, like, I'm with somebody or, like, I have a boyfriend. Quick little thing. I've never said anything like this next part on the channel, but I feel like I should issue a little bit of a trigger warning. I don't know what kind to say, but yeah. Watch the next part knowing that. Earlier that day, they went to get a drink without me so I could save our spot. I had never been hit on in my life. And somebody came up to me and he grabbed my ass. I had never been hit on in my entire life. And the first time that I have somebody just full on groped me. Can I even say that word on YouTube? But that made me so uncomfortable. And I kind of thought, like, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought. And they, like, kept, like, you know, insisting. And I was like, no, like, to ward them off, I was like, oh, I have a boyfriend. And they were like, oh, and he's not with you right now? Like, that's so weird. He left you here all by himself? I was like, but at this point, I was already really uncomfortable. And I kind of thought, like, maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe, you know. And then this girl comes up behind me and she taps me on the shoulder. And I was like, are you okay? And from there, I was like, okay, I'm not overthinking this. Like, You know, I'm right to be uncomfortable. So for the rest of the night, I was kind of on edge. I texted them like, hey, where are you? Like, can you come back like now? And then they came back. Yeah. But anyways, later that night, somebody was flirting with the person I was with and they didn't say anything. No, I have a boyfriend. I mean, we weren't official, but we were basically official, 4 months in. So, which that's my fault too, I'll get into the 3-month thing later. Let me write that down. But basically, after that person stopped flirting with them, they pulled me and were like, that guy was definitely hitting on me, and pulled me like closer. And that other guy, he was like trying to get closer, and I started to feel more protective, like I started hugging this person. Anyways, flash forward, it's done. We go to the bus, and this day was off. The whole day their mood was off, but I was so over their BS that I was like, I'm just gonna have fun today. Like, if they want to be quiet, that's okay, we could be quiet. If they want to be on their phone, that's fine, I'll look out the window. We got on the bus afterwards, and the person that was flirting with them came on the bus, and as a joke, obviously as a joke, I was like, oh, look, your best friend's right there. The person was outside of the bus, and then they walked on, and I was like, oh, they're coming on the same bus as us. And we were sitting like, say this is the window. So we were sitting here, and then there was other seats facing directly towards us. And the person sat right in front with his 2 friends staring right at us. And so I was like, And then I kind of started to think, oh, this person's not going to say like, oh, we're together. So I put my head on their shoulder. I started hugging them, whatever. And we were talking, and they were talking, having their own conversation. And then this fucking person that I'm with, the person that invited me to come with them on a date, puts themselves into their conversation. The person that was flirting with them, not even an hour before. And in that moment, I felt so stupid. I'm not a jealous person. I always tell people, I'm not a jealous person unless you give me a reason to be. And that felt kind of like reason enough. I knew they were a really social person. I had no problem with them, making jokes with cashiers, making jokes with strangers. I really like a social person. I'm the same way. It would be stupid for me to be jealous of somebody who makes conversation with strangers. But putting yourself into somebody else's conversation that didn't invite you into the conversation and wasn't talking to you, that was just flirting with you, I feel like it made me extra uncomfortable. I was already having a not so good night from that. And then this person pulls this, and it made me feel so stupid. I felt so stupid. I felt so gross. And I felt, I was just like, what am I doing here? And in that moment, I felt so stupid that I just I was hugging them. Remember I told you, I was hugging this person. And immediately let go. Because it was like, it's like, you're here with me, and someone was just flirting with you. You're here with me, and somebody was just flirting with you right in front of me, and you put yourself into their conversation. If I would never do that to somebody. I feel like I had never felt so disrespected in my life. And I had just gotten groped before, and this was the most disrespected I've ever felt. It's not a good feeling at all. I felt so horrible, and I had completely forgotten about that until the other night when I had this dream. Who knows what else? Who knows what else I already forgot. It's not a good feeling. I've had one itty-bitty crush since this. They didn't answer me for a few hours, and I immediately started thinking, the worst. In that moment, I was like, wow, I can't do it right now. I can't trust people yet. I can't do it again yet. Hopefully someday I can trust people again, but that was crazy. I can't believe I just started sobbing on the podcast. Editor, cut that out. I'm the editor. I'm not into things like that. And this was exactly 1 week before they ended things with me. And apparently, trust was an issue. Clearly, I was right. Anyways, and the worst part is this person never thought they were in the wrong unless I said something, and then they would apologize. They never did the same thing twice, okay? That it's not like that. Like, it's not, you know how some people, they say sorry and they do it again? It wasn't like that. It was just a lot of different things that they would say sorry and then they would work on it, which I appreciated. But this, like, I completely forgot about it immediately after it happened. I didn't even get to say, hey, that kind of made me uncomfortable, because I guess my brain just hated it so much that I forgot immediately. But that was a really horrible feeling, and I'm never gonna let anybody make me feel like that again. The next time somebody even does something even remotely close to that, I'm gone. I'm not gonna deal with that, which is a reason why I think this was a good, well, not a good experience, but a necessary experience, so that I know what not to deal with. Because I hate talking like that, because I don't think they were a bad person. You know, there's certain things that you don't say on the internet, and I never said certain things to anybody about this person because they trust me, and so me, I know I don't think they were ever a bad person, but they did do bad things. But that's why I'm saying I'm a cool person. I saw somebody say once, you were only too much for the wrong person. The right person is praying for someone like you to come into their lives. And I think that's so true, because I'm over here praying that someday I'll meet somebody who's like me. If I want somebody like me, and this person didn't like me, and no one ever has a crush on me, the same way a lot of people don't like Audrey Hobert's music, and I like it. So there's an audience for everything. And that thought really helped me out. I started seeing it like, okay, the wrong person doesn't want me. Stay away, you know? Sure, I may have a basic fashion sense. I may have a basic music taste. A lot of my interests might be basic, but you'll never find somebody like me ever again. You know, I would say I'm a pretty full of life kind of guy. I saw somebody say once, and I feel like I'm this kind of person. They said, I think I'm one of those people where people fall in love with you really quickly, because why wouldn't they? You're so happy, you're so funny, you're so full of life, you're so nice to everyone, so of course they'll fall in love with you fast. And then when they get to see that you're actually a person and not just some happy-go-lucky cartoon character, they leave. And that has kind of happened every time, except once. Everybody except for that one experience, not this past experience, every other time has been the same thing. It sucks, but one day the right person's gonna come along. The right person's gonna appreciate it. And back to the trust thing, I really did trust this person, to the point where after 3 months of us dating and not being official, all of my friends said, Daniel, you need to run. If they haven't asked you to be their boyfriend after 3 months, they're never gonna ask you. And I had kind of thought that, but I trusted that they weren't lying to me and they weren't stringing me along, because why would they be? They told me they're not stringing me along, and I trusted them. Everyone was right. I'm not saying this to scare you or anything, but, you know, people give you these warnings for a reason. Honestly, I don't wish I listened. I'm not saying this like, I deserved it. No, I'm saying this like, I have no regrets in my life. Because by trusting them, all I showed myself was that I'm a good person with good intentions. And once I trust somebody, I trust them. Now I'm a little more, like, I won't do that again. Definitely, if it takes 3 months, I'm gonna say, hey, look, you're taking too long. Like, I don't have the time to be waiting around for someone to choose me. And I never begged. That's one thing I had a little bit of self-respect. I would ask, but I never begged for attention. I'm not gonna beg somebody for attention. I'm not gonna beg someone to choose me. That's not how it works. If you have to beg, you're talking to the wrong person. Take that with you. Put that in your pocket and never forget it. My kings and queens and everything in betweens. And even though I never hated this person. After the breakup and everything, I was a little bit bitter about the fact that, wow, this person got so cold to me. They lied to me. Certain things, I don't even think they know that I know that they lied about. Certain things, I don't even think they know that they lied about. But I know. I'm not stupid. I may play along sometimes and wait for people to tell the truth, but I know. I would feel bitter about the fact that they get to be the person who turns everyone's head. They get to be a good-looking person who gets a lot of people's attention. It didn't feel fair that they're the person who gets a lot of people's attention, and they live in such a beautiful city and so much to do. It just didn't feel fair to me. I was the one over here picking up all the pieces that they left, and they have so much in their favor after breaking my heart, It didn't feel fair at all. And here I am in the city I live in. Don't get me wrong, I love this city, but there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. There's nowhere to go. That person lives in a city where there's coffee shops every freaking corner, and that's my favorite thing in the world is coffee. And I love coffee. And it just wasn't fair. They have amusement parks, they have a beach, they have coffee shops everywhere, bowling alleys, this, that, the next, arenas, stadiums. And I don't have anything here. And that bothered me so much for so long. But recently I realized I think God gave them all those things because that person wasn't talented, no drive, no ambition. I have all that, I'm a talented person. My career's looking up. I have drive. I have ambition. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I need to do to get there. And there's never been anything that I wanted that I didn't get. There's some things that I still want and I haven't gotten them yet, but there's nothing that I had wanted and didn't get. I will always work to get what I want. And I realized that's why it's okay. Sure, now I don't live in a city with a lot of stuff, but I'm going to work to that point. I'm going to work towards becoming successful enough to where I can live somewhere where there's things that I like. And then it'll be unbalanced again. Honestly, we're going to take the balance out of it, okay? I'm not going to compare myself to this person. But the way I was thinking about it was, this person has all that. Sure, whatever. I don't have that. Okay, sucks. But I can have that because I have ambition, I have drive. So I'll still have that ambition, drive, and talent, and I'll have all that stuff. So I'll be happy all around, successful all around, have all the things I want. I will have all the things I want because I'm going to work to have them. The only thing you can't work to have is a relationship, which, kind of thank God that I don't really want one anymore. But you can't really work for that. Trust me, I've tried. And yeah, I removed them, on all social media, removed them. I stopped looking at their stuff months ago. But one day I unblocked this person because I had this habit of I don't want people to think that I'm mean for blocking them. Don't think that. I'm telling you right now, don't think that. But yeah, I unblocked them and they had a picture of a meme for their profile picture and they started coming up on my suggested a lot. I was like, what the heck? What the heck? And that week it was a kind of hard week where I had one night where I was just I didn't have any interest in anything. Not because of this person, just that happens a lot with me. And one night I was crying about this person again, which I hadn't done in a while. Which honestly, it wasn't about this person. It was just why did this person leave me? Whatever. I was praying at night and I asked God, I said, look, I know this person's happy that they finally got rid of me and I'm happy for them. All I ever wanted was for them to be happy. But can I just be happy too, I'm fine with them being happy. I'm glad that they're happy. Maybe I did end up being kind of a burden to them. And maybe they were happier to get rid of me, which is fine. But I want to be happy too. The next day or 2 days after, this person kept popping up on my suggested on Instagram. And I was like, okay, just exit on every time. X. And I thought it was just going to go away. And then they changed their profile picture to a photo of them in the present day. And something about that, it caused me to have a panic attack. As much as I joke about it, I do think that experience might have traumatized me a little bit. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is. But something, or maybe a bunch of those little things, ended up being bigger than I thought. And I was home alone this day. My brothers were all at work. My parents were out of town. I was home alone. I literally had the most beautiful day. I went out to my favorite city around here. I got coffee. I went shopping for something for a gift for a friend. I was so happy. And right when I got home, this happened. Immediately started hyperventilating. I immediately started just sobbing. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. And I just started calling all of my friends. And nobody was answering, and I was home alone, and I just started freaking out. I mean, no hate to my friends. Like, they're busy people. They didn't answer. It's okay. I posted on my close friends story because, you know, if anyone wants to talk, like, hey, I'm here and I want to talk, you know? And one of my friends, have you seen those TikToks where it's like, you're one of my friends that I trust you even though we don't talk every day? It's like one of those. And she calmed me down a bit. I don't know, something about this person looked so different, but at the same time exactly the same. I was venting to my friend and I was like, just crying. I worked on myself so hard, but physically I'm exactly the same person. Sure, I've worked on my acne, I've been exercising consistently, but pretty much the same. She told me, you need to do something for yourself, like a little self-care day. And my mind immediately went to dye your hair red. Not as like everybody dyes their hair red, but because for like a year now I've been wanting to dye my hair red just because I think it looks cool. Usually everybody tells me don't do it, and my parents were not gonna be on board, but I was home alone and I wanted a change, so that was my first thought. I was like, I've been wanting this for so long, I'm just gonna do it. Boom, went to the store, boom. I literally vlogged it here for you guys. You know, I even joked about it, like, I'm not going through anything. Some people were like, you didn't dye it for that person, did you? I was like, no, this person always told me, please don't dye your hair red. So they would have hated it, but it was never for them. It was because I needed a change. I've grown. I've become more emotionally intelligent. I've become more understanding. I've learned lessons that I needed to learn, which hurt, but they're important, and dyed my hair red. You can't really tell, but I did. Hello again. The battery died. Also, I think the other clip was kind of out of focus, so I'm really sorry about that. The camera's on the charger now, so we're finishing this episode here at my desk. As I was saying, you probably can't tell my hair's red, but this little shine might be able to tell a little bit. Maybe if I get closer. Sorry, I haven't had my glow up yet, so that was probably a jump scare. But yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about. But, you know, I've always had that fear of being too much, so I wanted to end this video by telling you guys that you're never too much. If someone thinks you're too much, you're talking to the wrong person and you need to get away fast. You're perfect the way you are. You were made exactly how you're supposed to be made. If you have some little flaws if somebody tells you, that's one thing. If you believe that you have flaws that are making you not a good person, sure, work on them. We could all use a little bit of growth. I always worry, am I really a good person? But somebody once told me a bad person won't worry about whether they're a good person or not. So that's the first step. And I just wanted you all to know that if you're too much for anyone, you're never too much for me. I love you guys. No one is ever too much here on my channel. Okay? I'm telling you that right now. I'm not giving you room to say, but Daniel, I am too much because of this and because of that. Well, guess what? I didn't ask. I'm telling you right now, you're a good person. You're worth love. You're worth everything. You're worth the entire world. I'm telling you right now. You can't tell me otherwise. No one else can tell me otherwise. Let me hammer in your freaking head. You deserve joy. You deserve happiness. And whatever it is, you deserve it. Never doubt yourself, because I'm telling you right now, if you doubt yourself, maybe I'll just come out of the screen and kick your ass. I don't know. I've even seen in some of your guys' comments where you've gone through similar stuff as I have. And, well, I'm here to tell you, you're worth so much more than the treatment that you got from somebody who didn't treat you the best. And I hope all of your dreams come true. And if nobody's told you, I love you. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing, king, queen, everything else. Monarchs, I see you guys. I see you all. I hope you all find exactly what you're looking for. And you all become the best versions of your authentic self that you can be. And if you don't yet, I hope you learn to love that person, because I do. I may not know you that well, but if you've watched this far, you might be having a little bit of trouble, and I love you. And this goes for everyone. I don't care who the hell is watching this. If you have some stuff that you need to work on, if you're working through certain stuff right now, or if you have worked through stuff and nobody's giving you the credit, you're doing a great job. And I'm proud of you for that. And I love you for that. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. And I hope you have a great day and all of your dreams come true. Love ya. Bye.